Now, one of the things throughout this, and I want to share with you how this game now works. So, most people who play this game, and by the way, I learned this from 3 people who died and came back. And I'm going to share with you this story. Around 6 years ago, when I was coaching, one of my coaching clients took me out to Slovakia. When we went out to Slovakia, if you've ever spoke to somebody who's died before and came back, you'll hear the story. And those of you, how many of you have heard a story of somebody dying and coming back before? Okay, or maybe some of you have even, right? Been to the other side and came back, right? I don't believe accidents happen. I listened and I came across this for a reason. So I was with this person in Slovakia, and then this coaching client, then he took me to see somebody who invented a device. This device was to help your chi, help your energy balance out. It was like magnets and everything. So he designed it. Then he said he wanted to give me the whole design and the whole formula. I said, why are you giving it to me? I said, you just designed it. I said, you giving it to me or you selling it to me? He said, no, you can take it. I said, but you just designed it. You don't want to make money from it? He told me that's not his purpose. He said, you see, what happened was this. Last year, he had a heart attack. He said he had a heart attack. He got to the other side. They pronounced him dead. Then he came back somehow magically. But when he got to the other side, he said he's seen that there were 12 levels to this game. And he said that if we don't complete these levels, we have an option to come back or die and play another game. Try again from the start. But he was issued to come back and play this game, so he needed to fulfill what he needed to fulfill in this game. When I first heard it, I was kind of like, this guy's nuts, you know? He's crazy. There's something wrong with this dude, right? So anyway, I just thought, okay, forget it. Then what happened was, a few years later, I met somebody, right? And this guy was very humble guy, very nice guy. Then what happened is, one time he got into a car accident. After the car accident, again, it was another thing. When he got to the hospital, they pronounced him dead. When he came back, he was doing a lot of motivational speaking. So I got involved with him and spoke to him at one gig, and he told me, he said, by the way, when we were in conversation, he said, by the way, I don't know if you actually heard the story I was speaking from stage. It's actually a true story. I said, that thing about you dying? He said, yeah. I actually got to the other side. And let me tell you what happens. When you get to the other side, you see every single thing that you've lived in your life. It all replays for you, right? And it's actually not so bad. It's very blissful out there. But anyway, I had to come back to serve a purpose. I heard this voice. It called me back, and I came back, right? Then I thought, this is really weird, because this guy is here in London. The other guy is out there in Slovakia. They don't know each other, so obviously they didn't say, hey, let's come together and trick this guy, right? So I was thinking, what's going on? There's a few years apart. Then what happened is, a few years later, when I met Kaina's dad, I think, died 3 times. Died 3 times and came back. You never get one person died 3 times, right? So when I first met Kaina, and then we went out, met her dad, and we sat together talking, and then I was explaining to him the game of life, and then he started to explain. He said, "Yep, that's exactly how it is." And I was like, "How do you know?" He said, "Well, I died 3 times." I'm like, "Died 3 times?" I said, "It gets more intense every time I meet people. You die more times, right? The next person I'm going to meet, they died 9 times, you know." Right? So he died 3 times, and I was like, "What?" And he says, "Yeah, when I was younger, I drowned, and I died, and I came back." And then he said, when I was older, I had this brain seizure thing, and the whole family was involved, and it was really bad and everything like that, and died and then came back. And he said, every single time I've seen the same thing. And through all of that, I still couldn't have clarity. I could only join some dots and think, maybe there's some truth in it. Maybe, just maybe. But my mind is open, because we don't know what we don't know. Then what happened is, last year I went to the Himalayas. Open up, see everything, see all the path. And I'm like, man, this is legit. This is the game of life. It works exactly this way. Now, what happens is like this. I want to break it down, what my experience was now. Okay? It's like this. You will come into this lifetime as free spirit. What will happen is they will condition you, and then you will go the other way, following mind. You will go someone else's way, you will go someone else's way, you will go someone else's way. Then, because of this, you will be lost, never finding your purpose. That's why every single one of you on this call, I know for sure you've once in your lifetime asked, why am I here? What is the purpose in life? Why do we do what we do? You've all asked that question before. I know for sure. Because this is your question. When you come in, you ask, why am I here? You get lost. Then what happens is your body deteriorates and you die. Now, watch this. Next time, you will come back into this game on level 1 as a different form. What will happen is you will get through some conditioning, but for some reason, one day you follow your heart and you pursue this path. Because it's an up-down curve, one of the down curves was so far down, you couldn't get out of it. You were lost once again, and you gave up. It got to the end of your life, you died. That lifetime, you reached level 2. Now, it'll all connect for you in a moment, right? Especially those of you who are old souls here. Then what happened is, you died, then you will come back. You will keep coming back to human existence until you finish the game. You will keep playing the game until you finish the game. Just like if you were playing a computer console, you would play the game exactly the same. You would keep playing the game until you finish the game. And every single time, just like a game, you have to start on level 1. Man, new character. Free spirit. Man, forgetting who you are. Then going through all this conditioning. Man, all this. Then what happens is you go through one challenge, you get out of it. You go through second challenge, guess what? You're on level 3. Good job, you got to level 3. Guess what? You got to level 4. You did extremely well. Bigger challenge. You still overcome. You're still happiness and bliss. You're still following your heart. Do you know what then happens? This is a huge challenge. You lose control. You're into depression. You're lost. People are guiding you left, right, and center. You're lost. You don't know why you're here again. Then what happens is you die. Because the bigger the challenge, you die. Physical deterioration, time limitation, body limitation, you die. You come back. Then what happens is you come back. Now, some of you will relate to this point. How many of you have met a young kid that just knows everything? Like they have a high level of you don't know why. Like literally they will say, Daddy, 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 don't be upset. You should be happy. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like they are talking sense at you, like this little kid. And you're like, where on earth did you get that from? And they don't tell you. They can't tell you. They didn't learn it from anywhere. Right? How many of you have experienced something like that before? You've seen a kid, they talk sense. They talk more sense than a 30, 40, 50-year-old can, right? Why is that? Let me tell you something. Old soul. You played the game over and over and over and over again. You played that game before. So some will come in as old soul. When they come in as old soul, guess what? Some children, they just know. So what happens is, they come in, you don't know where they died last, but they come in, and guess what? They come zap. They get through all the challenges, breeze. Why? Because they played the game before. How many of you have played the game over and over and over again? You know exactly where the enemy is, where to shoot, where to hide. And how many of you have done that before? You play the game so many times before. It's a breeze. By the age of 3 or 4, you're already on level 4, which a lot of 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds don't even get to. How many of you know of an older person who really is not very conscious? Like they're negative all the time, they just don't get it. You talk to them positivity and it goes in and out, they just don't get it, right? What's that? That's actually young soul. Now, so you got another example. So you got majority, the average person gets lost. Then you got old soul who zap, they get to level 4, and for whatever reason, they are conscious. Now, I know some of you on this call are like this. Some of you on this call, you grew up not really being accepted in society. Why? Because you're a freak. You're one of those woo-woo people. You're one of those extremely conscious old souls. You find it hard to fit into society. Is there anybody on this call like this? I can feel you. You freaks. And you find it hard for human experience. You find it tough because people don't get you. From a young age, you already got it. And guess what? So, you were already here. You got to level 4 straight away. But guess what? At some point, life is a little bit stagnant at your knowing. Because what? You've returned to the consciousness that you've always been at. And you're facing the same challenge that you died at last time. And you haven't got your consciousness to the next level yet. So that's why, although you were conscious from a very young age, you see some people like me who didn't even understand anything about spirituality or living in the now even 6 years ago. And you're like, huh? Where did this dude come from? Because I knew this stuff when I was 5. Why is he now up there? What's going on? Let me tell you. Because now you have another thing. You have another type of person, which is, and some of you will never experience this. You go through life like this. One really shitty experience happens. You get so emotional, you get onto this emotion track. It hit you so hard. Then what happens is, something stimulates some lesson, bam, you're here, level 6. Like literally, you've lived 20 years of your life not knowing. In one incident, you know everything. You see how you were getting the whole thing wrong all the way through the 20 years. You learn everything in one night. How many of you had that experience before? Right? You didn't learn everything. That experience made you remember everything. Suddenly, you're on level 6, you're on level 7. Then you're like, man, 30 years of my life, I didn't know. These 5 years, it's like, what's happened? It's remembering. Because there's no way you can learn that fast. It's only remembering because you played the game so many different times and you were supposed to be on level 7. But you got stuck on some hurdle this time. Now, then you need to continue. You need to continue moving. So this is the game of life. This is how it works, the game of the human game. And so how do we win this? What are the tools? What are the strategies? What's the container? What's everything that we need to actually win this game? What's to play it extremely, extremely well? What's to experience abundance of everything? How many of you would like to learn? Right?